You know that feeling when your Hemi starts making a little tick and everyone tells you not to worry? Your buddy. Dude, they all sound like that. The forum. It's just Hemi tick. Nothing to see here. The dealer. Normal for these engines. Just drive it. So you turn the radio up, keep driving, and tell yourself it's fine. Then one day the tick gets louder. You get a misfire code. The truck feels flat. And you're standing at the service counter staring at an estimate that starts with a 3 and has 800 after it. Cam and lifters, Hemi teardown. $3,800 plus while we're in their money. That is the trap Ram just exposed without ever saying it out loud. Not in a commercial, not in a press release. And the only place that really matters. Parts catalog and the repair invoices. Tonight we're going to talk about it. We're going to walk through what the actual $3,800 Hemi repair trap is, how the Hemi's lifter and MDS design sets you up for it, what the real 100,000 to 150,000 mile cost looks like if you ignore the tick, a simple owner playbook to either avoid it or at least stop being surprised by it. By the end, you'll know exactly why that normal Hemi noise is either harmless or the sound of a $3,800 trap winding up. The villain. They all do that, plus MDS. Let's put the villain on the table before we go any further. The villain is the combination of cylinder deactivation hardware, MDS, thin oil and long intervals, and the phrase, they all do that. On Ram's side, the story was simple. Hemi FIV 8 power, better fuel economy with MDS, shutting off cylinders under light load, long oil change intervals with modern oil. On the owner side, that translated to, it's a Hemi. It's normal for them to tick. Just follow the dash and enjoy the MPG. The problem is, inside that engine, MDS is not a free party trick. It uses special lifters that have moving internals, switching on and off thousands of times over the life of the engine. When oil is fresh, pressure is good, heat is under control. They switch, lock, unlock, and everybody's happy. When oil gets cooked and full of junk, intervals get stretched, the engine spends its life idling or towing in heat. Those lifters start to stick, collapse, or chew into the cam lobes they ride on. From the driver's seat, you just hear Hemi tick. From the shop side, that's the start of a cam and lifter failure that can easily run you around $3,800 or more once everything is apart. That's the trap. Now let's talk about how it actually works. What's really going on inside a Hemi when it ticks? Keep this simple. Your Hemi uses roller lifters riding on a camshaft, opening and closing valves. On MDS cylinders, those lifters have an internal locking mechanism, can collapse, so the cam spins without opening the valve when the engine wants to shut that cylinder off. On paper, great for highway miles per gallon, less pumping loss. V8 noise with 4-cylinder fuel burn. In reality, a few things stack up. 1. Lifter internals plus dirty hot oil. Those MDS lifters rely on clean oil, proper viscosity, stable pressure, stretch oil changes, run cheap oil, tow and heat without shortening intervals, and the lifter internals C. Varnish, sludge, metal fines. They start to stick instead of switching cleanly. 2. Roller and cam lobe wear. Once a lifter is unhappy, two bad things can happen. The roller on the end stops rolling smoothly. The lifter stops following the cam profile the way it should. Now that tiny contact patch on the cam lobe is seeing higher pressure, less lubrication, weird loading as the lifter tries to lock/unlock. That's where the tick starts. The lobe surface starts getting wiped, and the misfires show up as the valve motion is no longer what the computer thinks it is. 3. Why it's a $3,800 job, not a $380 job. Here's why this turns into a trap instead of just an annoying noise. To fix cam and lifter damage in a modern Hemi, you're not popping a valve cover, swapping a single cheap part. You're pulling the front of the engine apart, pulling heads, pulling the cam out the front, replacing all the lifters, not just the one that failed, doing gaskets, bolts, fluids, and often while we're here parts. At a dealer or a good independent, parts for cam, lifters, trays, gaskets, bolts, fluids can easily land 4 figures. Labor is double-digit hours on a modern truck with cramped packaging. By the time the truck is back on the ground, $3,800 is a very believable number. If they find metal everywhere, or the cam has eaten more lobes than expected, You're now talking about engine replacements that start with a 7 or an 8 instead. That's the repair trap Hemi owners aren't ready for, because on day one, it just sounded like they all do that. The 100,000-mile Hemi math, normal owner versus careful owner. Let's put some numbers on this. 2 owners, same truck, 5.7 Hemi Ram 1500, 15,000 miles per year, gas at $3.75 per gallon. We'll keep the fuel math simple and focus on the engine side of the bill. Owner A, it's just Hemi tick. This is the normal guy. Follows the oil reminder to 8 to 10,000 miles, uses whatever bulk oil the quick lube has, tows a couple times a year, idles in traffic, doesn't think about it. Here's a tick at 70 to 80,000, asks around, gets, "They all do that," as the answer. Keeps driving. At around 100 to 120,000, he starts seeing rough idle on cold start, misfire codes on one cylinder, louder mechanical noise from one bank, maybe a little drop in power. Diagnosis, MDS lifter failure and a chewed cam lobe. Service writer slides the paper over, camshaft. Full set of lifters, not just one. New trays/retainers, gaskets, bolts, fluids, recommended extras while we're in there. Bill, $3,800 is a very realistic number. In some markets, it'll be more. Total Hemi-specific spend by $120,000. Oil changes, maybe 12 to 14 services at $80. Call it $1,000. Major repair, $3,800. So roughly $4,800 just on lubrication plus one failure. Owner B, I'm not playing that game. Same truck, same miles, different mindset. 5K oil changes max, with quality synthetic and the right spec. Checks the level, tops off if needed, doesn't let it run low. Uses tow haul when pulling, doesn't lug at 1,200 RPM for MPG. The second a new tick shows up, takes it seriously instead of trusting the chorus. Over the same 100 to 120,000 window, oil changes, approximately 20 to 24 services at $90. Call it $1,900 to $2,100. He spends maybe $1,000 more on oil over that span than Owner A. But if that prevents a full cam lifter wipeout or catches it early enough that only light damage is done, he just dodged. A $3,800 trap, weeks without his truck, and a big black mark when it's time to sell. Net difference, spend an extra approximately $1,000 on oil and careful use. Save approximately $3,800 on a top-end teardown. Come out approximately $2,800 ahead with a healthier engine. That's the part nobody tells you when they say, Hemis go forever, and yeah, they all tick. They can go forever. But the way the top end is designed now, you don't get that for free. Quick pause here. If you want more of this style breakdown instead of finding out about Hemi lifters from a $3,800 estimate, hit subscribe so the next normal noise you hear at least comes with context. All right, let's talk about what you can actually do if you own one, or you're shopping one. The Hemi Survival Playbook, How Not to Donate $3,800. This is the part you can literally screenshot and keep. 1. Oil interval. 5K is the new max. If your Hemi has MDS, seen towing, seen heat, or just lives in stop and go, then 8 to 10,000 mile oil changes are not for you. Think 5,000 miles or 1 year, whichever comes first. Quality synthetic that meets spec. OEM or high-quality filters. This is the single biggest lever you have on lifter and cam health. 2. Treat the tick as a symptom, not a personality trait. Not all ticks are death sentences. Some are exhaust manifold leaks, injector noise, harmless little quirks. But if a new tick shows up and stays, it gets louder over a few weeks. It comes with rough idle or misfire codes. That is not normal Hemi culture. That is a diagnostic event. Get it checked by someone who actually understands these engines, not a lube tech with "they all do that" on repeat. Catching a lifter issue early can be the difference between replacing parts before massive damage or grinding a lobe off and sending metal through the engine. 3. Use tow haul and don't lug it for fake MPG. If you tow, haul, or drive in serious heat, use tow haul so the trans keeps revs and load where the engine is happier. Don't let it lug at 1,200 to 1,500 RPM up a hill to save gas. Higher RPM with clean oil and good pressure is easier on the cam and lifters, than lugging at low RPM with heavy load and borderline pressure. 4. Keep the cooling stack clean. More heat equals thinner oil under stress equals more wear. A couple times a year, especially if you tow, drive dusty roads, live where bugs are a thing. Make sure the radiator, condenser, and any coolers in front aren't packed with junk. Better cooling equals better oil temperature equals happier lifters and cam. 5. If you're shopping used, ask the right questions. Looking at a used Ram with a Hemi? Ask, how often was the oil changed? 5,000 or whenever the dash said? Has it ever had lifter or cam work? If so, who did it and what parts did they use? Any history of ticking, misfires, or valve train noise notes on service records? Red flags. We just did one lifter on that cylinder. No records, but the light went off when it needed oil. They all tick, don't worry about it, as the only answer. Green flags, 5K to 6K oil intervals on record. Proper cam lifter repair with full sets and good parts if it already failed. Owner who can tell you how much oil it does or doesn't use. You're not just buying a truck, you're buying how the last owner treated the top end.